In this series called Only Unconnect, I'm visiting stations on the tube map which just have tick marks, no connector blobs, hence unconnected. Except it appears that I'm not just doing tube stations, it's time to do an overground station, which is just a tick mark on the map as we're in zone 6, just about still inside London, 2 stops north of Harrow and Wealdstone. It's time to have a look at the magnificence that is Hatch End.
The original Hatch End station opened in the 1840s as part of the London and Birmingham Railway, but it wasn't called Hatch End, they called it Pinner. Strange when you think that today's Pinner station on the Underground is almost 2 miles away. It was renamed to Pinner and Hatch End in 1897, and then the whole thing was rebuilt with today's station building in 1911. It was renamed again in 1920 to Hatch End for Pinner, and then renamed again in 1956 to just Hatch End as we know it today. Tube trains also used to stop here for several years when the Bakerloo line ran beyond Harrow and Wealdstone up to Watford Junction, but those services ceased in 1982. Nowadays, shiny orange Class 710 on the Overground train stop here for an hour once every 15 minutes. And the immediate thing to spot is that there are abandoned platforms here, as the West Coast Main Line passes right by.
So I'm on the footbridge from the northbound platform cross to the southbound platform, but presumably the footbridge or whatever was here before would have continued further, and you can clearly see the abandoned platform or platforms. There's an island platform there, and then there would have been another platform on the other side. So 6 tracks, 6 platforms in total would have stopped here. Now there's just the 2, but the fast West Coast mainline services run through. Actually, the best place to see it is from the road bridge up there.
The next thing you noted about Hatch End Station is the amount of flowers and plants that are here. The most, I think, of any station I've been to recently. All lovingly looked after by volunteers and award-winning too. It's quite lovely. I was told also that there's an allotment here too somewhere, but I couldn't find it.
There's a waiting room on the southbound platform. There's no plants in here though, just seats.
Alright, and on to the most impressive thing about Hatch End. It's signage. Now sure, there are some standard plastic and vinyl signs around the place, but there's also these, carved into stone. One for the bicycle storage, one for the cloakroom, and my favourite, the sign, not for the ticket hall, but the booking hall. And it's all lovingly finished off with the London and North Western letters carved in stone as well outside at the front, alongside the magnificent clock that sits atop of the whole station building. It works as well, showing the correct time. Is it any wonder, therefore, that this station has always had its admirers?
I have to bring in a sort of Metropolitan Line Metroland reference as I bring up Sir John Betjeman, architectural critic and poet laureate, who was a great admirer of Hatch End Railway Station. To quote directly from the online article, he described it as halfway between a bank and a medium-sized country house, which, yeah, it kind of is. And so on that note, I thought we'd have some poetry from the man himself, if you'll excuse my appalling diction. Early electric, with what radiant hope men formed this many-branched electrolia, twisted the flex around the iron rope, and let the dazzling vacuum globes hang clear. And then with hearts the rich contrivance filled, of copper beaten by the Bromsgrove Guild. Early electric, sit you down and see, mid this fine woodwork and smell of dinner, a stained glass windmill and a pot of tea, and sepia views of leafy lanes in Pinner. Then visualise far down the shining lines your parents' homestead set in murmuring pines. It's no longer called Pinner because it's quite clearly in Hatch End, but I like the fact that I found a poem which mentioned Pinner.
You can, though, have some sepia tone views of Hatch End's Broadway though, the Uxbridge Road very much forming its high street with all the shops. Also, you'll come here too perhaps either when finishing section 14 of the London Loop Or maybe you're starting on section 15, great walk if you do. And when you do come here, take a note of the rare Harrow heritage sign that's out the front, and the fact that the tops of the bollards in the car park have been painted in Overground orange colours too. Nice touch. All in all, Hatch End is just a delight, and basically doesn't feel like being in London at all.
And that is Hatch End, out beyond the top of the Bakerloo line in Zone 6, still inside London. Come and visit a very pretty station, unconnected, on the London Overground.